The Piper of Newtown, an English folk tale retold by Alistair Daniel. The shops were full of food, the cupboards were full of food. There was enough food for everyone on the Isle of Wight. But people were hungry, for no one wanted to eat the food. No one wanted to share their food with the rats. The rats that ran through the shops, through the houses, through the cupboards, over the food. The Isle of Wight was hungry. And in the town of Newtown, the mayor and the councillors were having a meeting, talking about the rats. Could they use poison to kill the rats? No, that didn't work. Could they try cats to chase and kill the rats? No, there were not enough cats in the whole of the island of Britain to kill the rats on the Isle of Wight. The mayor and the councillors did not know what to do, and then the doors of the council room opened, and the mayor and the councillors saw a young man standing there. The young man was tall and thin. He was wearing a coat, not of one colour, but many colours, small pieces of cloth of different colours sewn together to make one coat. The young man bowed to the mayor and councillors, and he said, "You have a rat problem." He continued, "You need me. I will help with your problem with the rats. All you have to do is pay me £50. Now, what I have not said is that this story is from a long time ago, when £50 was a fortune. £50 would make you rich. The mayor and the councillors were surprised. They had a little meeting. Said the mayor, "We have discussed the matter. We have talked about your offer to help with the rats of Newtown, and we agree. We will give you £50 if you take the rats away." And so the young man bowed. He turned around and walked away, closing the doors of the council room behind him. The mayor and the councillors ran to the windows and looked down into Newtown Square. They saw the young man walk down the steps of the town hall. He stood in the square. He looked around him, and then he took from his pocket a small wooden pipe. He put the pipe to his lips, and gently he began to blow, and as he started to blow into the pipe, the mayor and the councillors heard nothing. Not a sound. The young man continued to blow into his pipe. His fingers moved up and down, and yet the mayor and the councillors could hear nothing. They saw the young man walk around the square. They saw him walk up Gold Street. He disappeared round the corner. He came back down Silver Street. Still blowing, still moving his fingers, and still the mayor and the councillors heard nothing. But then they did hear something. As the young man returned to the square, they heard the sound of tiny claws, and to the mayor and the councillor's surprise, they saw rats running out of every window and every door, out of every hole in the ground, into the square, and round the young man they ran. The young man continued to play nothing. But as he played nothing, he walked out of the square, and down the hill towards the harbour, and as he walked playing nothing, the rats followed him. The mayor and the councillors left the council room. They ran down the steps of the town hall and into the square, and they followed the rats. They saw the young man step into a boat and go out into the middle of the harbour. In the middle of the harbour he continued to play his pipe. He continued to play nothing. But the rats followed him. They ran down the steps of the harbour walls. They jumped into the harbour waters, and they swam around the young man's boat. And there he played. He played nothing, and as he played nothing, the tide, the waters, left the harbour, so that the rats were not swimming in water any more, but they were pulled down to a muddy death. When the water returned to the harbour, the young man took his boat back to the steps. He walked up the steps and up the hill to the square, and then he walked up the steps of the town hall, and pushed the doors of the council room open. The mayor and councillors were waiting for him. £50, said the young man. That is what you promised me. The mayor looked at the councillors. The mayor looked at the young man. He said, "One moment, please. The councillors and I need to talk." And so they talked. "We have talked," said the mayor. "We saw you walk down the steps of the town hall. We saw you walk into the square and take a pipe, and we heard you play nothing. Well, I can play nothing. The councillors can play nothing. But to say thank you for what you have done, here is 6pence. The young man looked at the small coin in his hand, and then he looked at the mayor, and he said, "This 6pence is the most expensive 6pence the town of Newtown will ever spend." And he took the 6pence and threw it into the air. Before the 6pence hit the ground, the young man had left the council room, and the door had closed behind him. The young man walked down the steps of the town hall and into the square. He looked up and saw in the windows of the town hall were the mayor and councillors. He smiled and took the pipe once more. He put the pipe to his mouth, and he began to blow, and he began to lift his fingers. And as he played, the mayor and councillors heard the sweetest music. And as the piper played his sweet music, he left the square, he walked up Gold Street, he disappeared round the corner, and when he came back down Silver Street, the mayor and councillors saw, dancing behind him, were all the children of Newtown, who had come out of their homes at the sound of his sweet music. The mayor and the councillors saw the young man. They saw him look up at the town hall windows and smile as he led the children of Newtown away from their homes and out into the centre of the island where forests covered the land. And he was right. It was the most expensive 6pence the town of Newtown ever spent, for they never saw their children again. And that is the story of the Piper of Newtown, and that is how I have told it to you.